Hey, what's up? It's Jim, and today I'm going to talk about a special Sesame Street Christmas from 1978. Last year, I reviewed A Christmas Eve on Sesame Street, which came out the same year as this. Actually, it came out about 5 days before this did. I guess that bookended a whole week. Sunday, December 3rd. And this was Friday, December 8th. Wow, good week. This is often regarded as the lesser of the two, and not really regarded that well in terms of this era of, Jim Henson kind of produced Christmas specials. Now, I will say this isn't really a Jim Henson Christmas special, because he has literally no credit or creative input in this whatsoever. Maybe somebody ran a script by his desk and he said, yeah, I guess, I don't know. And I'm just guessing. But I'm here to tell you, this isn't so bad. I actually had a good time with this. Is it as good as Christmas Eve on Sesame Street or Emmett Otter? No, it's not. But it's still a good special. And if you've seen Sesame Street around this era, most of it is pretty good and holds up even today for today's kids. And this does that as well. Like, it's not really, it doesn't get that bad. Now, it does in some cases, because as I'm watching this at the beginning, it's going through the celebrities, and it's like Ethel Merman. I'm like, yes, I'm into this. Let's do it. It's like Leslie Uggams. Not sure who that is, but sure. And then it's like Anne Murray. I'm like, what? No. What? No. And then it's like Henry Fonda. I'm like, we're back in it. Michael Jackson, okay. Big Bird, I expected that. And yeah. So that's kind of one of the things with this. Leslie Uggams, who was a big deal at the time, was won Tonys, did a lot of stuff at the time. I'm not really that familiar with her, but most of you have actually probably seen her in at least 2 movies, because she plays Blind Al in the Deadpool film. But in this, she's at Sesame Street for a reason. I can't watch the 1978 episodes of Sesame Street on HBO Max, so I don't know if she was just a cast member for a little bit randomly. I suspect not, because basically this was produced by CBS, and they sort of paid Children's Television Workshop for the sets, for various characters and things like that. So this is kind of, you can see why people don't like this one special, but it's like CBS paid for a Sesame Street special, and they got it. But it is about Leslie Uggams is upset that Oscar the Grouch doesn't care about Christmas. It bothers everybody on Sesame Street, and so really offends them. So they try to trick him into liking Christmas, and they try to do a kind of Christmas Carol type scenario, which sort of works. They have 3 ghosts stop by, one played by Anne Murray, one played by Imogene Coca, one played by one of the Smothers brothers, Dick Smothers, and they try to trick Oscar the Grouch basically and try to convince him to be into Christmas. Now, I don't really get, and as I've said before in other ones of these, why it is such a big deal in these specials to really hit on the head that, hey, you have to have traditions, you have to respect those traditions, and you have to do those traditions, you have to fucking like it. Now shut up. Seems to be a continuous thing throughout Christmas specials. I don't get it, because why can't you just be chill and have a cool Christmas and be accepting? It just doesn't, I don't really get that whole thing, and I don't get this plot, and it sort of ruins the whole thing, because they're trying to gaslight Oscar the Grouch, they're trying to trick him, they're trying to convince him that maybe Christmas isn't so bad, which I guess I don't really get what that plot line is trying to do. I've never really understood that one. But it does have its moments, and I think the cast is good enough and the people behind the scenes are smart enough and good enough performers that it doesn't bug me as much as other specials have. Once I'm in it, I'm sort of with it. The only parts, the Anne Murray part, I knew wasn't going to be good, and it wasn't. It's been, Anne Murray made the kind of music Debbie Boone, kind of You Light Up My Life kind of stuff. Look, I love 70s music, and I think we all talk about this stuff now, but it wasn't all Parliament Funkadelic and disco and Sex Pistols and stuff. Most of the people listen to crap like Anne Murray, And so, like, it's like if you look at the top 10 from like 1978, and you're like, oh, this is depressing. She comes in and sings a song. Well, she doesn't sing a song, but she sings along to her recording, which you had already heard on the radio. If you basically, I don't know why she's here. I can't defend that, and I don't find her to be that interesting a performer. And she brings down the entire special. Now, Ethel Merman, though, comes in, sings a song from Annie. Not sure why, but she's Ethel Merman, so let her go. That moment's great. Kids like Annie. It's kind of, who cares if it makes no sense? We're in it, we're going. And that part I like. The Michael Jackson, Henry Fonda parts are so quick, I kind of wonder why you'd even have them in this. Like, Henry Fonda's barely in it, and his part's kind of funny. Michael Jackson is a year before Off the Wall, and he's just looking about ghosts, and then he leaves, and that's sort of it. It's like weird. I've heard that a lot of the other Muppets were too busy, or maybe CBS. I mean, it depends. Some people have written they were too busy. Other people have written CBS didn't want to pay for them, whichever. But one thing is certain, Carol Spinney had a crazy good week because he was in 2 major Christmas specials starring him, because he's the voice of Oscar, or was the voice of Oscar the Grouch in Big Bird. So that's pretty insane when you think about it. I can't directly talk about their quality because I saw that a year ago, Christmas Eve on Sesame Street, but I did feel like that should be in the pantheon of great Christmas specials. This is just kind of a forgettable special. I don't think they fully committed to getting good guests and tried more to appeal to the whole family than appealing to what Sesame Street's good at is kids. I don't get like why you would make a special like this and try to appeal to adults, or like have Anne Marie on. I don't really think that made a lot of sense. I like Big Bird in it, and Oscar and Barkley. I think this is for Muppets. And Mr. Hooper, David, Bob, and Maria were here. But it is weird seeing Bob so soon after he died. I think we're a little too hard on this special. It's a good, solid Christmas special. It is just not as interesting. And I think the Leslie Uggams, like, she's good in this, but like, why is she the star? Why is she so invested in this? Like, that kind of hurts it. You don't think about it as much because it's not, I mean, I guess it's really overbearing. And the more I think about it and read about it, the more it does actually bother me. But while I was watching it, it didn't bother me as much. But it does feel like you're kind of rubbing your nose in like tradition. You're like, okay, I guess. This is a good one. I think I can understand, like, it's been unavailable for a while. It was available on DVD. It's unavailable. I don't think this goes in the great pantheon of specials, and them not having the involvement of Jim Henson just makes it sort of even less notable. And I don't just say that because he's not there. It's just like, it just feels like an average episode of Sesame Street without like cool cartoons and like interesting cutaway things and stuff like that. Bar of quality, it just hits it, and hits it well enough that like if you enjoy Sesame Street, you'll have a good time with this. But this isn't like, I think, as transcendent and as and have an extra life to it like Emmett Otter and Christmas Eve on Sesame Street. I think a special Sesame Street Christmas, I mean, they paid for it, and I get they got their money's worth and got a decent enough kind of holiday special out of Sesame Street. But it's kind of funny, like, I think they could have probably just done that on their own, and they did. And we got this special, and I've also, the Star Wars Holiday Special premiered November 17th of this year as well. So it was like, this is trying to be more a variety show. It was produced by people who make variety shows similar to the Holiday Special. Thus probably why Anne Marie is there. I don't know. I don't feel very passionate about this, but I'm happy with what I watched. Will I probably next year be like, wait, what was it? It just doesn't stick out. And I think people were like a little too harsh in their criticism. I think it's fine, like, for the most part, other than the Anne Marie song, which will bore you to tears. Everything else about it is fairly solid, and I think it shows like these are like really well-trained performers. They know exactly what they're doing. Carol Spinney knows what he's doing. It's just like everybody is kind of well-tuned and ready. And because Leslie Uggams is also that, it just moves in such a great efficiency. Even if there's like some things that like normally I would have a bigger problem with, you're kind of just like swept up in the mechanism of the whole thing. The thing is, unlike the other two I talked about, you're not swept up in necessarily the story. because the story stinks. There's nothing that gets swept up. This might have been called a special Sesame Street, but it doesn't really feel that special. This just feels like regular and average. And, you know, I'm sure it was fine for a Friday night in 1978, but I don't know if it has much value or essential quality beyond that. It's just, you know, a nice enough Sesame Street episode on Christmas. And, you know, that sort of feels special, even if the special itself makes you feel kind of as regular as a Boxing Day. So if you've seen a special Sesame Street Christmas and you'd like to talk about it, then comment below in the comments and subscribe if you would like to. A special Sesame Street Christmas, also interestingly enough, was nominated but lost the Emmy for Outstanding Children's Program to Christmas Eve on Sesame Street. So, you know, I think even at the time, people sort of knew what was up.